I'm trying to work out, if someone says to me, why this is going to make my life better, why the European economy is going to be better, why this is going to boost the transmission mechanism, buying bonds at potentially negative yields, as long as it's above the deposit facility rate. How is that going to improve things?
Well, the ECB have given us the standard answer, which is, well, you know, it keeps spreads tighter. It allows banks to maybe lend less to big companies and more to SMEs, so it helps the transmission mechanism that way. But the way we've always thought about CSPP is actually, it's a step sideways for the ECB, it's not a step forward. It's a policy of damage limitation. Because last year the credit market wasn't healthy under this absurdly low interest rate environment. People weren't buying corporate bonds. And in January, February this year, the ability of companies to issue was severely curtailed. In particular, banks couldn't issue AT1s. And for the ECB, that's a problem. They regulate the banks. They can't have the banks unable to issue AT1s and COCOs. And for me, this policy was damage limitation. It was an attempt by the ECB to come in and say, things maybe aren't going right under my negative interest rate policy. I need to backstop credit spreads.
Okay.
This is what it is. It's a backstop to the market.
And I take all of that on board, and that sounds incredibly logical. So let me go along the road with you as well. If SMEs weren't able to borrow money in the corporate bond market, even under these absurdly low rates, will they be able to now? Will the banks be any more willing to lend to these SMEs they were concerned about previously than they were?
On top of corporate QE, we have the TLTROs, which will also kick off this month, which are going to be incredibly favourable for the banks. The ECB will lend to the banks at potentially minus 40 basis points. In a way, they're going to slightly recapitalise the banks by lending to them. So what the ECB is doing, it's trying to pull out the full suite of tools that will allow banks to create credit to the SME sector.
My final question to you then is along the lines of the fact that all this extra credit has been created, although this money has been spent on bonds. I think the figures from, Carl Weinberg was somewhere over 900 billion euros, of which non-bank financial lending during that same period has only gone up by, I think it was 0.17 or something along those lines of that.
The delta was
$100 billion.
15%.
Yeah, about 15%. Something's wrong.
Well, let's argue it the other way around. If Draghi was to stand up at the next press conference and say, this pursuit of 2% inflation, I can't really do it. You know, I'm giving up. You're on your own. Where would we be in terms of inflation expectations in the Eurozone? They would dive. And Draghi has said at every press conference, if I can't anchor inflation expectations, we have a debt crisis again in the periphery. For him, he has to try every forward move possible to tell the market, look, I've still got tools left. And if so be it, it's corporate bond purchases, then it's corporate bond purchases. But for him, the movement forward is so much more effective than to tell the market, look, I can't really get to 2% inflation.